Afternoon to our special guests this afternoon. Welcome to your house. I am Speaker Edmund Villagomez, and as you can see in front of me, we have not all our members present, but they should be making their way here to the chamber. The original plan was to have a joint meeting or presentation with the Senate. Unfortunately, there's a conflicting schedule, and they have a committee meeting on their end. So, based on my discussion with Kevin, we will be doing our part here, and hopefully by the end of our meeting and your courtesy visit, the Senate will be available for you all to visit them at their chamber, which is right behind this wall. So before I hand the floor over to Kevin, I'd like to introduce the members that are present. As mentioned earlier, I am Edmund S. Villagomez, the Speaker of the House. And to my left, we have Representative Selena Babauta, who is a representative from Election Precinct 1. To her left is Representative Christina Marie Sablan, or Tina Sablan, representative from Precinct 2. And to her left is Representative Karina L. Magofnia from Precinct 3, and her junior assistant is to her right. Say hi, Yanni. And to her left is Representative Leila Staffler from Precinct 5. And across, we have Representative Richard Lizama, who's also from Precinct 5. To his left, we have Representative Danita K. Yanktamai from the beautiful precinct of Precinct 3. And from the north side, we have Representative Joel Camacho from Precinct 4 and his junior assistant as well. And to his left, we have Representative Joseph Flores from Precinct 1. Kevin, the floor is yours.
Mic test. Thank you. Thank you, Suzusmasi Zangilason, Mr. Speaker. Hafade, Tiruwami, and good afternoon, everyone. Honorable members of the House of Representatives. For the record, my name is Kevin Bautista. I'm the Executive Director for the Office of the President at Northern Marianas College. We thank you all sincerely for sharing your time and your insight with what Dr. Galvin Leon Guerrero, our college president, and I believe is one of the most unique programs in the country, which is the Junior State of America. The Junior State of America, formerly known as the Junior Statesmen of America, is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to civic engagement and political participation, as well as on our end, trying to make sure that we increase representation from people that look like us here in the region. It's one of the reasons why this opportunity is really unique, because for the first time ever in the program's long-standing history, the Junior State of America has decided to open up a program called Civics Institute Micronesia. Civics Institute Micronesia is a program dedicated to the Pacific, specifically island jurisdictions around Micronesia, with long-standing island territorial partners such as the CNMI, Guam, the Federated States of Micronesia, the Republic of Palau, and the Republic of the Marshall Islands, which have had a long-standing pipeline of students who have participated in the national JSA programs in Washington, D.C., as well as other institutions such as Stanford University, Georgetown University, Princeton University, Pepperdine University in California, etc. We have a wonderful group of 18 students from across Micronesia, specifically the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, Guam, the Federated States of Micronesia, and the Republic of Palau. I want to just open up the floor, if I may, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to introduce a beloved colleague of mine that we've only gotten to know each other over the last couple months, but we've been working together to put this program together, which is Miss Laurel Fisher. She's our program coordinator of the Junior States of America. And I want to just specifically give us a small shout out to our two recent graduates of the Northern Marianas College who are serving as residential advisors for our 18 students, Miss Alexis San Nicolas and Mr. Arnel Pagurao. So they're pretty much just babysitting these guys. I'm just kidding. But Mr. Speaker and honorable members, we really do thank you for the opportunity to have them ask questions, have really in-depth conversations. This is a group of wonderfully talented students who were competitively selected from across Micronesia to be a part of this inaugural program. Northern Marianas College treats this responsibility very seriously because the Junior Statesmen of America chose us to be the first institution to host us in the Pacific. We just yesterday we had a great in-depth discussion with the Commonwealth Judiciary, both the Supreme Court and the Superior Court, as part of our three-part series with the Commonwealth government, all three branches of government. So without further ado, I think it'd be great if I'll pass the mic around, if I may, Mr. Speaker. I'd like for our students to personally introduce themselves and tell them and tell you all where they're from. Hopefully I can open up the door for discussion.
Yep. No objections, members? Okay,
Thank you, Stu Smoss, Mr. Speaker.
please proceed.
Oh, and if I may, Mr. Speaker, just because another great friend of ours has just arrived. She's our speech and debate instructor, Dr. Katie Langford. She hails from Texas Tech University. She holds, I just found this out yesterday, she holds a JD and a PhD. And Laurel was touting to me that they're bringing in just top class individuals, and that she wasn't joking about that. So we really appreciate JSA for really giving us, while albeit it's a week, hopefully we get it up to the historical 3-week program that they usually do in the States. So yeah, I'll leave it to that. No, actually, we'll just pass it around.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here in front of all of you guys. My name is Evelyn Petrus. I come from the island of Pohnpei in the FSM. And I am from Xavier High School. I attend Xavier High School in Chuk. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm also very honored to be here today. My name is Caitlin Nampin. I'm from the island of Pohnpei in the FSM.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. My name is Dilus Masami, and I am from Palau, and I attend Mizanti High School.
Good afternoon. My name is Courtney Terved, and I'm from Palau, and I attend Mitsenti High School.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tilirang Igurtang. I am from Palau and I attend Palau Mission Academy.
Hi, my name is Jaehoon Sun. I came from South Korea, but I attend school here in Saipan for 10 years, and I currently go to Marianas High School as a rising senior.
Kasadaria, hello and have a day to everyone here present. I am Alicia Josephine Reyes Richep, here representing our island, Pohnpei, and I'm a rising junior at Our Lady of Mercy Catholic High School.
Hello, my name is Mikliana Alfred. I am Palawan, but I was born and raised on Guam, and I am going to be a senior at Ukudu High School.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Julianne Lim Tiaco. I was raised on Guam and live there currently, and I'm going to be a rising junior at Notre Dame High School.
Good afternoon. My name is Gwinnett Danis. I'm Chikis, but I was raised on the island of Pohnpei. I am a rising senior at Our Lady of Mercy Catholic High School.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker and members of the board. My name is Isabella Sofia Koska, and I am Pohnpeian, and I am a rising senior at Xavier High School in Chuk.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hervin Licor. I'm from Pohnpei, and I attend Our Lady of Mercy Catholic High School.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francis Labretti. I'm from Gushrai and I attend Gushrai High School.
Kasalelia Manko, and good evening to you all. My name is Sean Michael Edwin, and I am from the island of Pohnpei, and I am going to be a rising senior at Our Lady of Mercy Catholic High School.
Asilelia Maenko, and good afternoon. My name is Monica Peñas. I am from the island of Pohnpei, and I also attend Our Lady of Mercy Catholic High School.
Good afternoon. My name is Anikin Perman, and I'm Pohnpeian, and I also attend Xavier High School on Chuk.
Good afternoon. My name is Imro Mangasaw. I'm from Palau and I attend Minzenti High School as a senior.
Casalelia, my name is Lani Andreas. I'm from Bombay and I attend Our Lady of Mercy Catholic High School, and I'm an upcoming senior.
Thank you, students. Thank you, Institute Masi, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity for them to introduce themselves. The floor is yours in terms of just opening up the discussion,
Yes.
and we'll have the students ask questions if needed.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. And again, welcome to the House, and it's our honor and our pleasure to have you all here. Before we move forward with discussions, I would just like to talk a little bit about the makeup of the House. The House of Representatives is made up of 20 members. We are at our constitutional max as of this moment. In was it 2008, Representative Tina, when they opened up Precinct 5? Yep. So prior to this, we were at 18 members. So Precinct 1, which pretty much constitutes most of the villages on the south side of the island, like where the airport is, and a little further north. There are 6 representatives in that precinct. Precinct 1 has the most voters in terms of voting population. And as you move further north, Precinct 2 has 2 representatives. Precinct 3 has 6. Precinct 4 has 2. Precinct 5 has 2. And then the precincts of Tinian and Rhoda has 1 each. So that makes up 20 members in the House. We have 3 officers, of course, myself being the speaker. We have Vice Speaker Blas Jonathan Atta, who is going to be running a little late right now. An issue came up regarding one of our educational institutions, and he's looking into that. We also have our floor leader, who will be on the way. And then we have about 9, is it 9 committees? Sometimes I get it mixed up because we change it. So Representative Selena Babauta here chairs the Judicial and Governmental Operations Committee, which is also known as the JGO. So any policy, any bills that involves the operations of the judicial branch or the government, or even if we have no idea which committee it goes into, we refer to the committee on JGO because it pretty much covers a lot of ground. Representative Tina here, she is the chair of Health and Welfare. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Anything that has to do with our healthcare, social issues as well, and anything health related in our community goes to her committee. We also have the Committee on Federal and Foreign Affairs. The chairman, unfortunately, is not able to make it, but we deal with federal and foreign issues. So any policy or bills introduced regarding foreign or federal issues are referred to that committee. We have the Committee on Education and Representative Leila Staffler. She is the chairwoman. So anything education related goes to her committee. We also have the Committee on Commerce and Tourism, which Representative Yang Tamai is the chair of that committee. So anything related to business and commerce and economics and tourism, all those issues and bills are referred to her committee. We also have the Committee on PUTC, which is Public Utilities, Transportation, and Communications, and we have Representative Richard Lizama, who chairs that committee. Anything related to utilities, transportation, communications, and even infrastructure to a certain extent is referred to his committee. We also have the Committee on Gaming, which is a fairly new committee that was just formed from 2 legislatures ago. Given our new industry in the casino gaming. And then, of course, there's the movement going on also nationwide, and I'm sure in other places in the world regarding cannabis. So we also created the Committee on Cannabis, which Representative Yang Tamai also chairs. I don't know if she partakes in it, but she chairs that committee. And then last but not least, probably one of the most important committees in any legislature, the Committee on Ways and Means. So anything that deals with revenue, appropriations, and the like, taxes, etc. All those issues and bills are referred to that committee. So I just wanted to touch up on that, and I like to open up the floor for questions. Usually, as we members work better that way, and we can elaborate further on any information you guys would like to know in regards to what we are facing and what we are working on in the legislature. Thank you. While you guys are still debating on who's going to go first, maybe I'll open the floor up for the members if they want to chime in a little bit while the students are gathering themselves. Representative Richard.
Thank you, Speaker. Welcome to your house. I've seen talented and intelligent students, and I know to get there, you have to be a good student. I just want to know that you came from a different areas. I just want, since you mentioned about the schools that they were going to, Pepperdine, Princeton, Stanford. So I want to ask any one of you, who is going to Stanford? If you can raise your hands or stand up, please. Anyone? How about going to Princeton? Do you have any candidate? No? How about Northwestern? Anyone? Okay, let me open up to you. Where are you guys going? Let me.
I didn't mean for him to hear me, but NYU, New York University.
Oh, good. Yes. That's for your 3 weeks program, correct? Isn't it? Is JSA?
So JSA historically is a 3-week program
Right.
in partner universities and colleges around the
Right.
country.
Right.
The schools that I mentioned are historically the partner institutions.
Oh.
But I think what she was referring to was that she wanted to go to NYU for college.
Oh.
Yeah, for beyond 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay. But I was only asking for the one that's going on a 3 weeks program.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Junior State of America is primarily actually this summer they're having their DC program at American University, and I think I was talking to Laurel that they have a program that was at Pepperdine University. But historically, when I was in high school, and I know that a number of people here when they were in high school, JSA's partner institutions were Georgetown, Stanford, Princeton,
Exactly.
Northwestern. That's right, Doc. Thank you, Dr. Katie.
I'd say
Yep.
that, yeah.
And Yale there. Yep. Yale's there.
Yes.
That's right. Yep. That's it.
Okay, so maybe I was ahead or behind.
Thank you, Congressman.
Okay, I yield back now. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lizama. Representative Staffler.
Thank you, Speaker. So this program is all the different Micronesian islands coming to Saipan to do the program here and not in one of those stateside schools, right? That's what's happening today.
Correct.
Yes. So you guys have been here for how many days? 3 days? 4 days? 5 days? How many days left? I guess they're staying longer. Okay. Who would like to share what's the most interesting thing you've experienced since you've come to Saipan? Anyone? Anything at all related to the island, the culture, or any of the things you've learned? Anything?
I like how the people here are so lively and they're so welcoming at the hotel. They make it a fun place for us to stay there and a great experience as well. PIC. Yeah.
So that's one thing. Anybody else? Bonus points if you say something you've learned. I'm sure your teachers will feel great.
So when I came here, I realized that a lot of Saipan is very much like Palau. It looks very much the same, so it was very shocking. But I also learned a lot about public speaking. Before coming here, I was very scared to go up and speak, but now I'm a lot better at it, so that's good.
Awesome. You did excellent.
Thank you.
Well, I want to just congratulate you all for taking the chance and opportunity to apply to come and do this kind of program. When I was your age, I did as many of them as I could too, because I didn't have money to travel. So I figured, hey, I'll join programs and I'll get to travel that way. So welcome to this part of Micronesia. I hope that I can come and visit you in your island one day. I've been to Palau. I got to see your capital while it was still under construction and the road to Babodab was not yet paved. Oh my gosh, that was muddy, but beautiful. I have never yet been to Pompeii, but I would love to go one day. Guam, we've been to Guam. We love Guam. But the other islands, Chuuk and where else are we from? And Pompeii. Yeah, I have not been there yet. I really would like to go to Pompeii, especially. I love pepper. I'm actually from the island of Tinian, and so I do love pepper of all kinds. So welcome and thank you for sharing your experiences, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay.
All right, I'll give it to one more member, and then hopefully you all have built the courage to ask the questions. Representative Corina Magofnia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, welcome to all of you to our beautiful island of Saipan. I hope that you've been enjoying your stay here for the past few days. Like Rep. Staffler said, I definitely have the islands of Micronesia on my bucket list to visit in my lifetime. So I hope that happens soon. But I would like to know if you guys would, if you'd like to share with us what would you like to get out of this experience by the time this program ends, if you would like to share with us?
Oh, I get green.
Hello. Okay. So, can you repeat the question? Sorry. Oh, okay. One thing I want to get out of this program is confidence in speaking in public because I sometimes stutter a lot and I have social anxiety. Yeah, really bad one. And I'm hoping to learn more about Saipan too because it's my first time here and it's really beautiful. I love it here. Yeah. And I want to improve my debating skills, something I really need to improve. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. If we're ready for questions, the floor is open. One more member? Representative Selena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And every one of us goes through an experience that makes us tremble in front of a mic. We're not experts at it. We're equal in that manner. We also get nervous when we have to speak in front of a mic sometimes, or when the cameras are rolling. So it's helpful to practice. But I wanted to encourage you guys. You are obviously the creme de la creme of your class. I can see that. You're very intellectual in terms of your speaking, and uh, believe it or not, it doesn't show that you're nervous in front of the microphone. But I wanted to encourage you guys to continue to pursue your education and your dreams, to be who and what you want to be. Um, don't let anyone discourage you and tell you the sky is the limit when you know there's footprints on the moon, right? So always aspire to go beyond yourself. And I hope that you guys contribute back to your respective communities. I forgot to say in the beginning, Kasalilia Menkau, half a day, Ranamim, half a day, and welcome to Saipan. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay and your experiences with the Northern Marianas College. And we hope one day to build up NMC to be the premier higher education institution in our region, in the Micronesia region. So I hope you guys come back and take some classes at NMC just to expand your wings and your educational knowledge. Maybe then you can learn more about the island of Saipan. If you guys were not aware, it is rumored that Amelia Earhart was imprisoned here in Saipan at the Japanese jail. I don't know if you guys have been there yet. As you probably know, a little bit of our history in Tinian. The atomic bomb was assembled, two of them, in fact, were assembled in the island of Tinian and were eventually dropped over Japan. Couple of cities there. The atomic bomb pits are still there. They're enclosed at this time, but they are still there where they assembled the atomic bombs. We also have a lot of World War II relics and artifacts, both in the ocean and up north, the northernmost area, Marpi, the last command post, and there's other pre prehistoric sites here as well, dating back to the ancient Chamorros. They're found all over the Marianas. So I hope that one day you guys come back and explore those areas to cure your interest. So thank you for paying us a visit this afternoon. It's been our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Selena Babauta. So have we built the courage? Yeah.
Don't-
We have some available seats up here, even up here at the dais. So if some of you would like to come up and even sit next to the members, feel free. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Maybe this will, yeah, all the way up to here.
Speaker,
Yes, Representative Stafford.
may I throw out some like example questions maybe that can help? They have questions? Oh, okay then.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, come closer to the microphone. Come, guys, come.
I just want to let you all know that you're live on Facebook, YouTube, and on cable. So, yep, have a seat, right? Yes. This is where the floor leader sits. Have a seat. Thank you. I'll recognize.
No, you press talk. Press Ali. Press talk. Press
And
talk.
then down here too.
Good, good.
This one. Oh.
So just a little instructions when you're going to speak. Just press the talk button. And when the light is on, that means it's on. Okay, there. And when you're done, just press it. Representative Tina, I'd like to thank you for this idea. Some of the students have actually built the confidence to ask questions. So up here on the dais, the person that sits to my left is the vice speaker, and the person that sits to my right is the floor leader. Now, the floor leader is called the floor leader for the reason that he or she makes the motions on the floor. So whenever I need, for example, to suspend rules for emergency purposes or to have bills that have been sitting in committees that haven't been acted on because they're important, the floor leader has the authority to yank bills out of committees without committee reports. And of course, out of courtesy, we do speak to the author or the chairperson of that committee that we're taking it out of. So when you guys were all getting settled in, the floor leader asked if she could ask her question. So I recognize you, floor leader. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to ask, this question goes out to all the members of the House, if you don't mind. Who or what began your inspiration to be part of this, to really dig deep down so we could probably also find our own inspiration to join the House? Thank you very much.
Anybody want to crack at it? All right. Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you for that wonderful question. I actually wanted to let all of you know that what propelled me to be interested in government and in civic engagement in the first place was the Junior State program. I am a JSA alumna. I did the Georgetown and Northwestern programs when I was in high school, and I really appreciated what the program did for me in terms of building up my confidence. As a lot of you have mentioned, you want to develop those public speaking skills, and my research and writing skills, and also just the opportunity to leave my home island and meet other students from all over the place, and learn about the affairs of government and how important the role of citizens is in this democracy, right? And that, if you want your community, if you want your country to become a better place for everybody, you have to get involved and do your homework and be informed about the issues that you care about. Junior State really did that for me and made me interested in the first place in becoming just a better citizen, and thinking more seriously about the role that I could play in public service. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Representative Staffler.
Thank you, Speaker. And unfortunately, I couldn't join JSA at the time. I don't even remember if they had it during my years. I'm from the 90s. But I did join the Upward Bound program, which was like the island version of what you're doing, kind of. But we got to go to University of Hawaii. So I would say that I definitely got to experience, what you're going through, and meeting people and going outside of your comfort zone. It's so important for any growth. But why I chose to do this job, I worked in schools for a long time, and I could see like how much I could help my community through the work that I did as a teacher or as a principal. And so I thought, hey, what if I tried it out in the public, in this arena, in a different arena? And I can definitely say that Representative Sablon actually inspired me because of the things that she would write in the newspaper sometimes. I got very inspired, and you can see it's emotional that I get to work with her now because she inspired me to take my step here, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you for that, members. For some of us, it's like a calling. On my end, I returned back to Saipan in 2004, and I started out as a teacher. Around that time, you could really see that the good economic times we had was coming to a close. One of our main industries, the garment industry, was pulling out, and I think 2 years after I returned, all of them were out. Our tourism was going down, and it was on a decline. After teaching, I worked at our Department of Commerce, and that's where I could really see we were going through a lot of issues. I was doing my part of what I could do at the Department of Commerce, but I felt that I could step it up. And some people would tell me, man, to run at the time that I ran back in 2009, some people will call it the darkest times of the CNMI, and to step up, to that challenge is, I look back and I'm like, wow. But for some of us like myself, it's a calling, and you have to feel passionate about it. Really reflect on everything you've been through, the knowledge you've gained, the education you've gained, the experiences you've gained in things like this, the junior statesman. I've had the opportunity of attending different conferences prior to me running to office, running for office, meeting with young leaders, not only around Micronesia but the entire Pacific, discussing different issues from socioeconomic issues to health, economics, and how it affects even students or youth at the time that's not even that were not even old enough to vote. So all of this kind of culminated to where I am now, and for me making the decision to run for office. I just wanted to share that. Thank you. And we'll open up for more questions. Just please raise your hand and I'll work. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon. So my question is, among everything the legislature does, what is this branch's most important function?
Thank you. It's a toss-up, but of course, probably the most important law that we need to pass every year is our budget. Our budget is basically the operations of the government, and that's the law that allows us to continue the service to the public. We are pretty strict here. We have a deadline of the end of September or October 1st. Once October 1st hits at midnight and we don't have a law or a budget in place, we are on a partial shutdown. Only those that are very essential services to the community, such as the hospital, public safety, public education, etc., remains open. But without that budget law, we are on a shutdown. And I've had the unfortunate experience of going through that in my first term. We've shut down for almost a week. And that was not good, especially at a time when our people were going through furloughs, austerity measures, and then to not get paid for that long it's really difficult. So I would say that's one of the most important laws that we have to act on every year on time, on a timely fashion too. Any other member would like to add? Of course, we have issues that come and go. So one of the things we are facing right now is the cost of our utilities. And of course, everywhere in the world, because of events that are beyond our control, the rise of the price of fuel, I'm sure, affects everybody. I used to think that even in our region, we're probably at the higher end, but I've seen news reports that there are some areas in the States, the United States, where their gas is up to $10 a gallon. And that affects everything from shipping to the cost of goods to the cost of everything. And we've seen the cost go up for everything as simple as a 2x4 at a hardware store. So right now we are looking into ways that we could ease that kind of pain on our people, ease that burden on our people. So those are the issues too that are just as important as the budget law. Thank you. Hey, if you want to clap, it's okay. All right. Floor is still open. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Speaker. I was just curious, what does a normal day working at the legislature look like?
Thank you. Any member want to take a crack at it? All right. Oh, I guess it's me again. That's why they call me the speaker, right? Well, every day is one thing about this job is every day is there's always something new. When you run for office, you can set all these goals, but for whatever reason, when your constituents, get involved in everything, that can also kind of change the goal a little bit. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, external factors. But a typical day, at least for me, is, of course, I deal with a lot of calls coming from our community that ranges from just some people just want to vent about the utilities and the rising cost of everything, and then of course visits like this too. We get a lot of visits from the schools at different levels. Some of us are working on bills on a daily basis, meeting with our legislative assistants and our legal counsels, and also reaching out to different agencies in the government to help put bills together that hopefully become law. We also go out in the community to reach out to our constituents as well. So every day is I don't think every day would be a typical day. It's hard to say what's typical. Thank you. Any other member would like to? Representative Richard.
Thank you, Speaker. I guess I'm going to answer that question about a typical day. A typical day for me is helping out my constituents. Just reaching out to them and ask them what they need. What can we do for them? By being a lawmaker, it's not an everyday job. As a matter of fact, someone was recommending that we go down to part-time. So in my opinion, my typical day is helping out my constituents. That's the typical day I have. Thank you.
Yeah, some of us have operations such as beautifying our community. My office, partnered up with former Representative Felicidado Gomero, who is not serving with us now, but we had a community development center for over 10 years. So we provide other services to our community other than policy making. Yep. Representative Tina.
Yeah, I think that your description, Mr. Speaker, of every day being something new, something different is spot on. I mean, I know in my case too, every day really is different. From the perspective of like the committee chairs, I can tell you, as the chair of the Health and Welfare Committee, like even the work there varies, right? Like we're working on legislation, we're reviewing legislation that the speaker has referred to us, we're soliciting comments, meeting with stakeholders who might have something to say about the bills, we're having meetings, holding public hearings, or planning for meetings and public hearings, and then like that is just on top of like the other types of work that my colleagues here have mentioned already. But if there's one thing I wanted to say about this job, is that it really is in a lot of ways up to the individual member to make it what they want it to be. Each of us kind of sets our priorities and goals at the beginning of the term, and like you really have to, you can get pulled in so many different directions from so many different constituents on so many different issues, and it really kind of falls on the individual member to decide like what's important, what do I want to prioritize, because this is a 2-year term and it goes by really fast.
Thank you, Representative Tina. Floor is still open for questions. I hope that answered your question, sir. Thank you. Please raise your hand if you'd like to ask. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of advice would you give someone who's interested in working like here? Yeah. Yeah.
All right, members, would you like to, her question is, what kind of advice would you give someone who's interested or is thinking about running for office? Representative Joel.
I think like for myself, it would be courage, definitely courage. Like in the precinct that I serve, actually myself and Congresswoman Sheila Babalta, who's currently off island right now, we were practically the youngest representatives ever elected in that precinct. So for our parts, it's a lot of courage and commitment and just setting yourself up to believe that you can do it. And when I got in, it was they kind of taught me that dreams can happen. I mean, I never really dreamed to become a representative, but I mean, dreams meaning you want to help people, you want to help your community, and if you believe you can do that, then just have the courage to do so. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Joel, and also, like I mentioned, learn from your experiences, learn from all the educational opportunities that are going to come your way. Learn from talking to your peers. Never stop learning, and hopefully one day, when that passion kicks in for public service, you'd be ready. So get as well-rounded as you can, get as well-educated as you can, and get well-versed in your community and as much of the world around you as you can before you take that step. And also, of course, like Representative Joel said, you need to have that courage, and public speaking is a big thing. Even though I've done it for a while, there are moments where even when I'm invited to speak at a kindergarten graduating class, and I'm there more nervous than speaking to like in front of professionals, so that happens to me too. So I could speak in front of professionals with a lot of confidence, and then a bunch of 5-year-olds, I'm like, hi, I'm the speaker, parents, so take it all in, and also, look within yourself, and if you have the passion to do it, just like everything else you want to do in life, whatever your goals are, always give it 100%, so that if things don't go your way, you could at least look back and say, you know what, I gave my best. Thank you. Representative Tina.
There we go. Yeah, I have to say, I think the most humbling public speaking experience I've ever had has been in front of a kindergarten crowd. Because if you're boring, they will let you know. But to answer your question, I would really strongly suggest that you be clear about your why you're interested in running for office. What is it that you care about that you would like to see change or get better in your community? What are the issues that matter to you? I think that's so important. And then being able to use your voice, the voice that you have and the knowledge and experience that you have, finding that courage, as Representative Joel said, that's so important. But I think starting with the reason, your reason for running and your reason for feeling called to serve is so important. I also wanted to just note how important representation is in any government, right? And in a body like this legislature. It's so important for elected representatives to reflect the diversity of their community. That's when democracy works best, I think. And in this body, in this House of Representatives, I just wanted to note a few things. Rep. Joel kind of mentioned being among the younger members of this group, and it's true. I counted 5, including our speaker, members who are 40 and under. I just aged out of that group very recently. Yeah. But we also have more women in this legislature than ever in the history of the Commonwealth. And we have members who represent a wide range of experiences. People who are in law enforcement, like Rep. Flores. We have a lot of educators in this group. We have an accountant in Rep. Karina. People who have served in public service capacities in different ways, like our speaker is one of them. And we have veterans, educators like Rep. Danita and Rep. Staffler. What's that? We have comedians, yes. But there is no single track. I think is what I want to emphasize for running for office and and serving in this kind of capacity. I think it's so important to have diversity in your elected bodies, and I think that's certainly true here in the Marianas, and I would think throughout our region. We all come from very diverse communities, and it's important that our government reflect that.
I'd like to also add, I know we're mentioning, talking about getting well versed and well rounded, but also in whatever field you choose to pursue forward, and you come to the point of wanting to run for office, you could just also focus on that expertise. Some folks, past and present, wanted to run because they want to improve our healthcare, and their profession is in the healthcare field. Rep. Tina mentioned our good colleague here, Representative Joe Flores, who was a law enforcement officer, and he wants to improve that too, and it reflects on some of the bills that he has introduced to help better, the area of law enforcement. So even if some of you decide to become doctors or lawyers or nurses or educators, your knowledge, your expertise, if you want to see something improve in that area, up to the policy level making area can really come handy if you decide to represent your community. Representative Staffler.
Very short, and to add to what he says, so pursue whatever career you want, bring that to the table, but definitely get involved, whatever it is, community service, be involved, because that's how you network, and what your network brings is your connections to those projects that you want to complete, and it also connects you to the voters that you want to learn about you. So make your network as early as you can, because you can run at any age once you've decided that you're courageous enough to make that jump. But start laying that foundation of your expertise and your network with your community service. You can't lose.
Thank you. Representative Karina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For me, my advice to all of you would be to have the passion and the commitment to serve. This kind of work takes a lot of your time and your energy, and you have to be committed, and you have to have the passion. For me, to answer the first question, my inspiration was really this one right here. I wanted to make sure as a mother that I provide a better and brighter future for the next generation. And so she was part of my inspiration. Like, I like to also add to the speaker that for me, it was my calling. I felt it was my calling. I never ever planned to pursue my career in politics. But in my background, I have 20 plus years of experience in finance and accounting. And as he has said, I felt that with my background, my experience, I wanted to help make a change in our Commonwealth. And if it means making that small change and impact to help better our Commonwealth, then that's what I was willing to do. So this job is almost 24/7, I can tell you that. But when you are passionate about what you do and you are committed, it doesn't feel like a job because it actually is very fulfilling. So find that passion of yours. And as Representative Tina had mentioned, try to ask that question, the why, because that's really, really important. And everything else will fall in its place. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Magofnia, Rep. Richard, and then we'll have another question.
Thank you. I'm a military retired, local retired Social Security. This job is not going to make you rich. And so you have to have the passion, the willingness to do, and why. And you set your goal. This is why I got here. And I want to admire one of my colleagues, which in the same precinct. She was making great money, but she wants to do it. She wanted to do it with a passion. And she had a drop in salary. So it's the willingness and how you want to do it for the people. Anyone can have that goal to become a legislature of each of their island. It's the passion, your visioning, your willingness, and your goal. You ask yourself why I'm going to do it. And that's the reason why she came and helped the community. Thank you. I just want to share that with you.
Thank you, Representative Lizama. Floor is still open for questions. Kevin, we're doing okay on time? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Floor is still open for questions. Yes, ma'am.
Casalelia again. I just wanted to ask, how did the coronavirus, the COVID-19, affect the CNMI, and how did you guys overcome that, the COVID-19?
Thank you for that question. It affected us just pretty much the way it affected everybody else. Fortunately, we were able to take steps to prevent it as much as possible, even before it was coming our way. It probably made its way, but we took measures to really secure our borders. In the House alone, for a while, that's why we adopted in our rules that even to this day that you can appear virtually, just as long as you're in the CNMI. So I can remember in the legislature, this is why we set this up like this, so that there could be more space between the members. But then eventually, just like everywhere else, we're slowly getting back to normal. As you can see, masking is optional, whereas before, we still have this because I think the safety level has gone up to medium. But prior to that, we had the temperature check, the sign in. Members of our community used to be able to roam freely in our halls, but now we don't do that for the safety, for safety reasons. So it was pretty tough. It affected our economy a lot. It affected our the access to education. and and other public service to our people. Of course, one of our main industries, which is tourism, was hit really hard, which also hit a lot of businesses really hard. The stores were open at limited time. I think at one point only a few hours in the afternoon, to avoid people going out. But that was also hard because it encouraged people to hurry up and shop before the store closes. So a lot of things to figure out, but it really impacted us. And despite all that, late last year we had our first community spread, and the spread is still happening. Some are still some have gotten hit twice already, even after getting the vaccine and also getting COVID. Um, Representative Tina, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of the highlights of our COVID experience here. I mean, this is probably familiar to all of you, since your islands also shut down, right? The borders and businesses, and I think that was also in the very beginning when there was so much uncertainty and vaccinations. The vaccines weren't readily available yet, and what's happened over the last couple of years is we have, as more and more people have become vaccinated or have developed some level of immunity because they've already had COVID and gotten over it, we've slowly been reopening and kind of shifting back to what some level of normalcy before the pandemic. And now that most of the population is vaccinated or has some immunity, now that better treatments are available, I think people have been feeling slowly more and more comfortable about reopening and bringing tourists back and allowing people like yourselves to visit with a little more freedom, and without quarantine requirements that used to be in place. So, I think though, like everywhere else, we are also still learning every day and kind of reassessing every day what we can do better or differently.
Yeah, so with us, it was especially with the community spread, it was really hard for us to put some safety protocols in the legislature because we were walking that fine line of possibly violating the Open Government Act. Because this is a public building, we are public servants. These are public offices, and the public should have, access to us and to the buildings without really putting in restrictions. But because of COVID, we really walk that fine line, and it's for safety purposes. I hope that answers your question. I also wanted to add, because I have a daughter just as old as Rep. Karina's daughter, and there were times where, especially in our public schools, where they're like, okay, virtual learning, and then they stop that, everybody come back to school, and then the number goes up, okay, back to virtual learning, and then it's a hybrid. Those that want to come. Those that cannot come will also teach virtually while we're teaching, and so it really make things complicated. But I think we've adopted well, and we're still continuing to adopt to those changes as we get back to normal as much as possible. Thank you. Floor is still open for questions. Go for it. Ayan, you have a question?
What do you want to be when you graduate in high school?
It's a good question. All right. Okay. Floor leader, would you like to start? If you have an idea of what you want to pursue after you graduate from high school.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the question. What I want to be in the future, I do not know yet, but joining this JSA program, I have that um, idea, not idea, but more of a clearer path of what I want to be in the future, and that is to be, a political leader or to be part of the government to lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, before I move to the vice speaker, I just want to note that at least based on my life experience, we tend to stumble into what we find out what our calling is and what it is we want to do uh, in life. Like some of us have mentioned, we've never dreamed of becoming public servants in this capacity, but like I said, and like some of my colleagues have mentioned, it was just a calling. Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and for the question. Honestly, I'm not sure too, but I'm keeping my options open. And as like Evelyn said, I'm also, now that I'm joining GSA, I'm starting to become interested in joining the government or becoming one of our future leaders of the FSM.
I noticed some of you mentioned Xavier High School. One of our late representatives, our minority leader, whose anniversary is coming up, was a product of Xavier. And I'm talking about the late Ivan James Alfonso Blanco. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard of him. So yeah, he was a product of that school as well. All right, ma'am.
Casadelia again, and for me, for now, I haven't decided on what I wanted to be on the future, and I yeah, I haven't figured out anything. But as I joined this program, I learned a lot, and I also wanted to learn more about the government and join out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
As of right now, I'm leaning towards maybe pastoral ministry. I have a really strong faith in God, and I really just want to let everyone know that He's the the truth, the way, and the life.
Thank you. And as we mentioned, in terms of leaders in the community, that's also one area in our community that you can lead the people in. So thank you for sharing that, sir.
Good afternoon and have a day. My goal after I graduate from high school is to study law school and then hopefully become a lawyer.
Thank you for that, ma'am. The floor is yours.
Hi. So as of right now, I still am not sure of what I want to become. But after I graduate high school, I plan on studying psychology in college, and if it is God's will for me to become a politician or a leader, then I will take that calling. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, my goal one day is to become a politician. So, after graduating from high school, I was planning to study more on politics. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon again. When I finish high school, I intend, like my fellow peer, to go to NYU and get my bachelor's degree, and then move on forward to NYU Law to get a law degree, so I can become an attorney of a criminal defense.
Thank you.
So I have two family members who are social workers who specialize in drugs and alcohol substance abuse. So as I see them do what they do, I want to be more like that. But as I am in this program, I'm keeping my options open to be a political leader.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, speaker. For me, I am also not sure what I want to do, but as of right now, after I graduate from high school, I want to attend Sophia University in Japan and study in journalism, and I am very interested in environmental science.
Okay, hi, good afternoon. So, like a lot of my fellow peers, it changes very often, but as of right now, I am very interested in sociology, political science, even psychology. I would love to be a family therapist.
As of now, I'm leaning more towards the medical field, but not I don't know specifically what, but the medical field is what I'm leaning towards too. But due to this program, I'm also considering hopefully becoming a politician as well, or a government leader. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, in the future, I want to be some kind of an engineer, but I also want to have minors in other degree, like in philosophy, because I like to think about philosophy. Yeah.
Thank you.
For me, before joining the JSA program, I thought of joining the military or studying business and studying mechanical engineering. But af- during what they taught us and what we learned at the Supreme Court, now I'm leaning towards um, studying law and becoming a lawyer. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, good afternoon again. So after high school, I want to go to probably John Hopkins because I want to study medicine and become a surgeon. Yeah.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hello. Oh, so so good afternoon. Um, After high school, I don't know what school I would like to go to, but I do know that I want to pursue a career in the music industry. Hopefully, as something like a music composer or producer. So yeah, that's a job that I'd like.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really nice to see the different career goals you may or may not pursue. I've noticed a few talk about psychology, social work. As you can see, oh, oh, that's right. Sorry, I keep thinking you guys are as our clerk and our legal counsel. So I'm sorry. Ma'am, go ahead.
Have a day. So about 3 months ago, I my goal was to finish high school and apply for UCLA and major in marketing and finance because I wanted to become a real estate agent. But now my sister-in-law has opened my eyes to how corruption has increased in the FSM. And so I want to bring back to my community and major in law.
Sorry about that, Rep Joel. I thought you were going to tell me what you wanted to do after you graduated high school. Sir, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Speaker and members of the House and everyone here. And thank you for the question. That is a really nice question to ask. So I'm just like everyone else, I'm not too sure. And JSA is opening my eyes to many options in life. But as I'm also attending this program, I'm also joining a second program, also known as Step Up, which is a short-term research institute program for underrepresented people. And it's also allowing me to expand my scientific interest. So I would like to be either a marine biologist or a scientific researcher.
Thank you. I think these are really good areas to look into. And you've covered it all. And these are things that we as lawmakers also, need to look into everything you've mentioned. You've mentioned corruption. You've mentioned social work. You've mentioned law, and psychology, and also your desire to become a religious leader too as well. Again, all of this encompasses everything in our community. So I think I really see what this program has done, and you've mentioned that it's opened your eyes to pursue certain areas, and also it's really nice to hear that now you have being leaders in our community is as an option that you're not ruling out. So I really appreciate that, and hopefully, um, when you return back to your home countries, that you bring that back, because the world will be a better place with that kind of mentality. So thank you. Floor is still open for. Okay. Floor is still open for questions. Oh, okay. Uh, recognize Ayani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And then tell them what you want. When you grow up.
When I grow up, I want to be the chief. And I want to be a scientist. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, I hope you're around for, we have upcoming JSA participants. Yeah. Yeah. What's the youngest to be in this program?
Or you're the youngest.
Ah, so 16? About 16. Oh, okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is to you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything, but my question is, what was the process of you, Mr. Speaker, to get to where you are today as a speaker? And if this is the level of your career that you like, if this is where you want to stop, and if not, what are your plans, or what are you planning for your future? I'm sorry, my apologies.
Um, the second question is pretty loaded, so I'll just go with the first question. And I'll just be real. Of course, to become a speaker, you're first going to have to run for office in the House, just like everybody else. Um, and then you have to win. You have to get elected into office. And at the end of the day, um, politics is about a game of numbers. You want something to pass, you got to get the majority. So just like becoming the speaker, like say for example, you're in a party, whether it's Democrat or Republican, and say majority Democrats come in, then the Democrats need to meet together and decide amongst themselves who's going to be leading the group in the House. So that's where they decide who the speaker is going to be, and then who the vice speaker is going to be, and who the floor leader is going to be. The process can be very complicated because there are times where it's easy for the party that's not the majority to be like, all right, guys, I mean, we're the minority, we're probably not going to get the office or positions. But then even within the majority, you'll come across situations where certain members would like to be speaker. So you're going to have to, as a group, going to try to have to figure that out. And it can get messy. Then say there are three members within the majority group that want to be speaker, and none of them want to step down, then of course they're going to branch out and reach out to the party that's not the majority to get their numbers, because you're going to need the majority numbers to 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 be elected a speaker. My experience in the 22nd legislature, um, I think we hold the record for the longest inauguration ceremony in the history. It took us 2 days to figure out the speaker. As a matter of fact, it was so contentious that even to set up the inauguration to have a speaker pro tem and a floor leader pro tem, it was decided on a coin toss. So um, we had the sitting speaker at the time who was outgoing, and of course this was after the election, and I was asked to be a speaker, but again we have to get the numbers at the end of the day. So even to decide just to do the ceremony was tough, because even with that we're going to have to agree, like, okay, Rep Tina will be the speaker pro tem, or Rep Joel, but if majority of the members at the time don't agree, then it's not going to happen. So it was on the news. You see me, and you see our speaker from the 21st legislature, who's our vice speaker. We're standing there while somebody's getting ready to flip a coin, and the speaker at the time, he called the right flip, and so he became the speaker pro tem, and I became the floor leader pro tem, which is the temporary interim position. And so eventually, after a deadlock for almost 48 hours, I was able to get the number 11, and that's how I was elected speaker. And then I spoke to the vice speaker now and the floor leader to join me. What I wanted to do was have a leadership set up as a collaboration. So if you look at the party, if you look at how political parties come into play, usually the majority party would have the speaker from that party, the floor leader from that party, and the vice speaker from that party. But I came in as an independent. The floor leader and the vice speaker are both from the Republican Party, and then the leadership that lead the committees are Democrats and independents. So yeah, it's pretty tough. Even if you come in, like I said, running a party, and you come into get elected as the majority, and you still have members that want that position, it can get it can get tough, because it's the numbers. Same when you're going to want to have to pass bills. You're going to have to get the majority vote. And sometimes you'll find that even though, it's folks from your party, sometimes, they won't give you that support. And it's the nature of the job. As far as the second question, again, it's I do have aspirations, but I'm just going to take it step by step for now. I hope that answers both questions. Thank you. Yes, Rep Staffler.
I think it would be kind of cool if you share your one of the facts about you. You are the longest serving member currently in
Yes,
the House.
I am the longest serving member currently. I came in, I ran in the 2009 election. So, I was, my inauguration was in 2010. So I've been in office since then. So I've been through a lot. Like the time my first term was very unique, because we went from odd number election year to an even number election year. So that year was the transition. So whoever came in as governor at the time, which was then Governor Fittel, instead of 4 years, he served 5. The number of years we serve here in the House is 2, but around that time, because we're making that shift, I served 3 years. The mayors served 5, and the senators that came in, they usually serve 4, but they serve 5. So it's been a very interesting experience. And like we say, every day is not a. It's hard to say what's a typical day. Thank you. Floor is still open for questions. Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious on what you first intended to become before taking part in politics.
Like when I was a 6-year-old, or
Or
yeah.
later than that, because
Oh, later than
yeah,
that, yeah.
like after
Well,
high school.
when I was in high school, it was when since you're asking that question, when I was a freshman in high school, I wanted to also get into the military and get into like the special forces level. I mean, I had a really good friend that even he wanted to become a Navy SEAL, but then just like each and every one of you, as you get older, as you get exposed to more options, you tend to change your goal. Um, so again, I stumbled upon this, and I felt it was a calling that that later on in life I wanted to do. Yes, Rep Staffler.
I remember just hearing many of you say, you're not sure what you want to do. And I just want to reassure you that you probably won't, and it's okay. When you're getting your degree, your first degree, just get it in whatever you feel the most like confidence in. I started out wanting to do business economics and Japanese, and then I really failed my statistics class. So I went back to my true love of art. And you wouldn't believe it, but I majored in art. I'm a studio art major. I studied painting and ceramics. And you probably think, what does that have to do with education, being a teacher or being a principal or being a politician? The creativity that I got to grow and cultivate in that first degree experience is definitely what has helped me throughout my career. And so if you don't know what you want to do right now and you go to college, major in whatever you need to do to get through those classes, and if you have a real passion for sciences, definitely start as early as you can because you need more time for those degrees. But what will really matter later is your second degree, your master's degree, because that's where you get specialized. And by the time you get to that point, all of the experiences you have will help you know which master's to get, because that's the one that'll cost you more money too. But getting that master's degree is always a good idea if you're planning on going those academic routes, because it will help you have that earning power later if that's your plan. If you're not into degrees, go into the trades. Do go into the trades. There's a lot of opportunities for becoming entrepreneurs in the trades industries. I'm sure in your islands it's hard to find plumbers, just like it's hard to find plumbers here, and we need those kinds of people taking those jobs. So if you're not sure what you're going to take in your college, don't worry, just go. Just go.
Thank you for that, and that's very good advice. Representative Yanktamai.
I want to show off a little bit with FISHO, starting with the Southwest Islands, Ali, Mogatin, Hafaday, Rananim, Kaselel, and Lenwo. So I was set in high school. I was ready. I knew what to do after graduation. After graduation, I will be with my boyfriend, marry him, have 15 kids. Not knowing where the kids came from. I thought they came from storks or something, but thank goodness, other options came. So yes, I went off to school and here I am. That's all.
A little tidbit. Representative Yanktamai is a longtime educator. I can remember in my first term when some of the teachers went on strike, and just listening to her husband and some students talk about how much they also look up to her as like a mother figure. Yeah. Sorry. I said my first term. I didn't say back in high school. Okay. So, and I was very fortunate to have Mr. Yanktamai and Representative Yanktamai also assist me in my second term running for office. So I think I inspired her. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. Yeah. She was asking what about your name again, and it's Representative Tina, and like I've mentioned, it's very interesting to experience a lot of firsts too, since I come into office, and also being in a leadership role in the community, and to also witness. Um, Representative Staffler, I think it was you that brought up that this legislature, this house has the most female members ever in the history of the CNMI, and we have uh, three gubernatorial candidates and governor candidates coming up, and Representative Staffler and Representative Leila, um, are a tandem. I think they're the first women, right, to ever run for as a tandem for governor and lieutenant governor. I think even in the nation, if I'm not mistaken. So even seeing a lot of young ladies here, just know that you can dream big, and it can happen. Just have the courage and build yourself up. Yeah. Or that's up to you. Okay, the floor is still open for questions. Yes, Representative Karina.
Okay. So, just to reiterate what Rep. Staffler has said, to those of you who are not really sure yet what you want to do when you graduate high school, don't be too hard on yourself, okay? Because it is very true that as you experience life kind of dictates where you're what you want to do in life. Yes, it's important to kind of have an idea of what you want to do and where you want to go in life, but sometimes life throws you a curveball. And in my experience, when I was in high school, I love math. Math was my favorite subject, and I thought that I was going to pursue a degree in accounting because I had this notion that and together, only to find out later on after being in college for a little bit over a year that math had nothing to do with accounting. But I was so far into my degree that I didn't want to quit what I was doing, and I decided to go ahead and uh, complete my degree. And as I pursued that degree, I started to work part time so that I can start gaining some experience behind my degree. And the further I went in, the more I didn't want to stop. And so that kept me going. And because I did have my first child at a very young age, I had him when I was 19, I was even more determined and more motivated to ensure that I complete my degree and find a good and stable job so that I can support my son, even with his dad. But I was always one of those women who did not want to depend on any man to take care of me. Okay, so this is my advice to all you young ladies. It's always good to have a companion, but be yourself always. Okay, be Miss Independent. Never ever rely on anybody to take care of yourself but yourself. And this is even more reason why I'm in this uh, position, because I have a daughter and I want to instill those values in her. I want to raise her to be a strong woman and to be able to depend on herself no matter what. So please don't be too hard on yourself right now, because I never thought that I would be in this position. I never thought I would be a politician, but I wanted to make a change. And this was my calling, so I'm fulfilling that calling. And I'm sure I don't know what life has for me in the next 5-10 years from now, but for now this is what I'm doing, and I'm answering to that calling. So please stay true to yourself, and to every single one of you, just have that respect for yourself. Okay, that's very, very important. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Magofnia. Floor is still open for questions. I like these discussions. Questions? Anybody? Yes.
Okay, so my question goes out to the female representatives here today. I wanted to ask, what was the most difficult things you've experienced in becoming what you are today, sitting here today? The most difficult things. Okay, okay, yeah. Thank you.
I guess the challenges, right? Representative Yanktamai.
Going out asking for votes. I've never done that. So embarrassing. So yeah. So yes, that was one of the difficult things besides gas. Thank you.
Oh, Representative Magofnia.
That is very true. That is the most hardest thing for me, and the most uncomfortable feeling, because um, in my lifetime, I've never had to go out and meet random people, strangers, really, and introduce myself. I was more of an introvert person. I'm a finance accounting major, so I was always behind the screen in my own office. I've never really had to work in, have a lot of interactions with different people. But when I decided to run, I had to learn to get outside of that comfort zone and 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 introduce myself to complete strangers and really ask them, to support me and vote for me. And the hardest part was explaining to them why, and it helped me really dig deep down inside why I wanted to run. So for me, that was the hardest part, learning to speak up in public, because I was never one of those public speakers, but I had to learn. I had to just learn to ask for help. So if you guys are if you are considering and pursuing a career in politics, that is something that you need to work on, your public speaking, and just being humble, asking people for help. Thank you.
Rep Stafford.
Thank you, Speaker. And that's a good question. I will say two things that I struggle with sometimes still. Balancing life and home, as a mom and as a working mom. My husband is great. He does a lot, but, I still carry a lot of the load. So I have my full-time job out here with the community, which takes a lot. And my kids actually sometimes make me feel a little bit bad about it too. Like I give so much time. What about us? So that's hard. Plus all the laundry. The laundry. And I would, especially now, because power is really high, so I have to hang the laundry and not the dryer. So that's more time. So anyway, that's number one. Number two, I guess I feel like the political environment can sometimes be uncomfortable as a female, whether it's the backbiting that can happen, with like any kind of competition that there can be. But I would also say sometimes, I'll just say it, the sexism that you get, towards you as a female candidate or politician versus a male, the kinds of questions that they might ask us, they probably would never ask the guy candidates. And so I would, right? Yeah. Many experiences like that can sometimes Be uncomfortable, but I guess that's part of why it's so important that we have the representation that we have to, break those barriers and I guess teach people we do interact with that. Hey, that's probably not the right question, right? Let's ask a different one, or finding that balance with your partner and trying to make everything work in your life. But I would say those are my two struggles. Thank you.
And you handle it well. And I'd like to know what those questions are. Uh, really? Wow. Yeah. Okay. You win. I never had constituents ask that. No. I think if I were to break down in session, it's gonna be like, why are you crying? Not what makes you cry. Reptina.
Yeah, I mean, just like one question that I get asked, and it is like I think totally a factor of just sexism and the way that we've been socialized, right? Like like the question I get asked, and I'm, as the first woman running for governor in the Marianas, the question that I don't think any of my male colleagues would ever get asked is like always questions about who the first gentleman's going to be. Right? So many assumptions behind that, and like, I don't think my male counterparts would ever have to answer questions about like their personal lives or, you know, romantic relationships or anything like that. But I think that what I've learned, I'm now in my third term in office, and what I've learned since my first term is just to recognize, when those factors are at play, right? And when sexism or the way I'm perceived because I'm a woman, or because in my first term I was one of two women in the house, and also the youngest, and there was a huge age gap between me and the next member, right? Um, and and it was just recognizing when either my age or my sex or gender were influencing my interactions with other people, whether it's my colleagues or other constituents, and learning how to adapt to that and adjust to that, and also when to call that out, right? Um, yeah, I think that has been a challenge, but it's not insurmountable. And I'd say that some of the issues about like just balancing work and life, that's true for all of us, men and women, right? But probably for the women in the house who are in the legislature, who are also mothers, and there's all these expectations, I think, of having to do well at all of these areas of life, as well as being a public servant answerable to your constituents 24 hours a day, and that's a lot. And I think learning how to set boundaries and how to take care of our own mental health, and just make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, right? Is I think an important lesson for all of us to learn, regardless of gender.
Thank you, Representative Tina. Floor is still open for questions. Come on, even if it's tough. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm trying not to pull it so it breaks. I guess my question goes out to all of the people here today. I would just like to know, when you leave this office and this position, or when you move on to other things, what type of legacy or what type of message do you want your legacy here to convey?
That's a good question. Go ahead, members. I'll open it up to you, Representative Yang, tonight.
That's a great question. Thank you, Speaker. Secret. It's a secret. We cannot share it yet. We just have to wait. Because if we say it, others will copy. So
Representative Joel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And that's a really, really good question. I think, like, for my part, the way I look at being in the office as a young individual, especially for a precinct that has elected a lot of elders throughout history, is leading by example. Because I notice there's a lot of A lot of young individuals here that want to serve in public office. Excuse me. But leading by example, one of the examples I mean by that is my last term. I spent, I think, 6 months under the sun, painting and expressing what I want to accomplish for Precinct 4. Did a lot of beautification projects. And the one thing I want to impart if I leave office is I want people to see that even our leaders can go out in the hot sun and do the hard work that needs to be done. So, thank you.
And I'd like to add to Representative Joel. Even when I ran and in my first term, I was the youngest in office. As Representative Tina mentioned, there's what, five of us that's still under 40. I'm in that five, yes. So, um, and the longest serving, so that's still. But yeah, and then we have a lot of young potential young leaders in our community that are afraid to run because they feel like people are not going to like them in the legislature. And I wanted to be that example of like, to show them that, you need that courage and you shouldn't be going into this job to be liked. It's about doing the right thing. In my first term, I've had so many, a few sessions where I was the only one that voted against bills by myself. And it was very unpopular. But I wanted to show the my peers at the time that, you know, uh, there's never the wrong time to do the right thing, and you shouldn't be scared to do the right thing. That's one legacy that I want to leave behind. And also, a lot of them are like, "Well, I'm very unfiltered when I speak." I'm like, "That's fine, but just make sure you back it up with facts and make sure it has substance. Don't just say that, oh, this is a messed up bill or this is I disagree with this because it's bad on the surface. But if you really do the research, it's wow, it's. So there's nothing wrong with being outspoken. Just make sure you back it up. Um, so things like that. And I also want to also leave the legacy behind. And I really did my best this term to show that the one of the hardest parts of this job is getting into the job. It can get nasty. I'm pretty sure you've probably seen it in your islands and how politics can be. But when we get in here, it shouldn't be about parties. It shouldn't be about majority or minority. It should be about just um, doing the right thing again based on your conscience and your research and the knowledge that you've gained in terms of pushing bills and policies forward. That's what it should be about. So many times I get criticized by my constituents for helping other representatives in other precincts and they take the credit, and for me it's fine, because as long as the people benefit from that service, that's what makes me sleep well at night. To the people be the glory is what I like to say. So that's the kind of legacy I would like to leave behind. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
So I wanted to ask, when you guys are making bills and laws, does everybody have to agree on it? And if so, what happens if some disagree?
No, not everybody has to agree on the bill, but of course, if you want that bill to pass, or if you don't want the bill to pass, again, like I mentioned, it's a game of numbers. So certain bills, certain resolutions, certain laws that we need to pass. Some is not just simple majority. Sometimes we need like 2/3 or 3/4 of the members. So again, if there's a bill that you want to pass and somehow you don't have the number and it gets outvoted on the floor, then it dies. But you could try to reintroduce it again. Um, Usually we refer bills to committee so we could find some kind of compromise, get more public input, and hopefully come out with a better version of the bill that compared to when it was first introduced, and so that hopefully everybody can support it. Yep. And then there's different processes too, because there are times where both the House and the Senate agree on a bill. They pass it, it gets to the governor, he vetoes. But if we feel strongly that that's an important bill, both houses can override the governor's veto. But then again, that requires 2/3 of each house. So there's different processes. Thank you. Good question. Any other question? Yeah, feel free to volunteer people, guys. I'm just kidding. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a question for you. Again, I'm so sorry. Uh, do you have any questions for the students?
Oh. Actually, I think Rep. Karina's daughter asked a good question. Actually, that was a really good one, asking what you want to be when after high school, at least to know where you guys are at in your life. And it's always good to have that, to check yourself in that way. I just want to emphasize that one thing you guys have on your side is time. Take advantage of your youth. Don't live up to the quote where they say the youth is wasted on the young. You know, learn from your mistakes and learn from your mistakes early, so that you can correct them early. Yes, Reptina.
If I may ask a question of all of you students, I'm curious what are the current issues in your governments that you're concerned about today? I heard some mentions of concerns about corruption. Quite a few of you said you were interested in possibly entering into politics or public service in some way. Yeah, what are the issues that you're thinking about now that are affecting your communities?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'm curious to know. What are some of the issues that you'd like to share with us in terms of, what your island country facing? Of course, you're supposed to know the issues. You're elected here. I'm just kidding.
Yes, and I
Representative
think
Lizama.
I wanted to say that it's a sensitive question. These are still young folks, and we don't want them to be retaliating when they get back. I hope not.
Yes, sir.
So back in Palau, I just think that it's not fair that foreign workers get paid below the minimum wage. Yeah. Yeah. Minimum wage in Palau is $3.50. Um, below that, but as the reason as to why they do is because they still get housing and food and transportation, but due to inflation, it's 350 is still barely enough to live on. So
That is a very interesting issue. Yes, Representative Magofnia.
thanks for the question, but I would like to see equality where everyone gets treated the same. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I guess that's a good way to ask my question. And for us youth, how do we we see such problems, and how do we bring forth to the people in power to help us?
Thank you for sharing. Yes, ma'am.
Um, okay, so I'm also from Palau, and another issue we're facing today is climate change, which is affecting our reefs because we mostly depend on our reefs for habitat for fish, and that's our main dish. So yeah, that's an issue we're facing now because it's getting really hot. Yes, thank you.
So I have particularly two issues, one relating to my fellow peer, and I am also from Palau. One thing about foreign workers, especially people from Bangladesh, they get very unfair treatment, especially when things go wrong. Palauans first point their fingers that it's their fault. So I would also like to see equality. Another issue that sort of went cold was we had this PNMS, Palau National Marine Sanctuary. So 80% of our ocean is dedicated for a conservation area, while 20% is able for us to fish in and whatever. So we had the whole petitions going out to citizens to sign to close this. And I really liked how we, the citizens, took a step and signed petitions to protect our marine sanctuary. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to answer your question about an issue uh, that's very much prominent in our community. It is a very controversial topic, but especially with the recent news in the U.S., the whole case about abortion, um, it brought a lot of my attention to that topic, and I researched a lot more about um, abortion and women's rights in Palau because I wasn't very sure about what it was. And I found that uh, there's a lot of things that women can't do when it comes to abortion and a lot of those types of things. So I would like that issue to be brought up more, especially with my peers, not my close peers, but I do know people that have had incidents where they needed that type of medical stuff. So it was a very scary experience for them that they weren't able to go to a hospital or go to a certain center to find that help. Thank you.
Um, thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the issue that I want to talk about, that's basically happening in Pohnpei and in Chuuk. It's along with my fellow peers, as they said, climate change, minimum wage. I am also very concerned about the issue of poverty because there are many people in Pohnpei that do not have homes. And I know that every time I bring up this issue, many people say, oh, then it's their fault because they're not doing anything about it. But the main cause would have to be they don't have any opportunities to get the money they need or the supplies they need to fix their homes. And I know an organization called Micronesian Conservation Trust, and they are making a project on better homes and free homes for citizens of Pohnpei. So I would just like to say that those kind of projects would really help benefit our environment and economy because instead of the richer getting richer and the poor becoming more poor, I not only want equality, but I want justice for the people who need their homes, especially also in Chuk. Thank you. That's my issue.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So I am very passionate about the education system. I forgot to mention, but one of my other careers that I would love to pursue is in special education. So, so one of my one of the political topics that I would like to talk about is the education system, because there are a lot more ways to reach the community through the youth. So educating them on topics like abortion in high school, obviously, and also on climate justice, which is one of the classes we're taking in JSA. So yeah, that's my.
Anybody else? Those are good issues. Um, one thing I wanted to actually bring up earlier, and we can continue on with this, was we also have a program here in the legislature. It's called the Youth Congress. So we actually, I think, Mr. Castro, how many members do we have now? We're down to three now. It started out with five or six. Yeah, five, and already three of them are, or two of them, right, are off to college and pursuing, their further education. But we've had that program for a while, although it has kind of shrunk in size. It's an opportunity for the youth to get their voices heard. Yes, Mr. Castro. This is Mr. Louis John Castro. He is the Youth Congress coordinator, and he's also a former speaker of the Youth Congress and a former member of the legislature as well. Thank you, Mr. Castro. All right, we have time for one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. Who wants to take the go home question? No. Or if we're good, are we good? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. On behalf of the House of Representatives, myself and my colleagues, we would like to thank you for taking the time to actually pay a visit to the legislature, to the House. I apologize that the Senate was caught up in their own committee meeting, but I was assured that some members were going to attend, but something came up, so they're addressing those concerns. But I hope that you have all learned a lot today. I hope that some of our answers and our discussions have inspired you to move forward with your career goals, and also maybe look into the possibility of becoming leaders in your community in any aspect. Um, because it is very, it's an honorable, thing to do for your people. So, again, on behalf of myself and my colleagues and us here in the legislature, thank you, and please come again. Yes, Kevin.